Life flows on the river of purpose. We're all carried by the uncertainty of its own unfolding. Chasing purpose is all about nurturing faith, setting intentions, pursuing aspirations, all while living boldly. Chasing Purpose aims to inspire, uplift, and empower people through real-life stories. Stories that encapsulate life's memorable moments and enduring life lessons. Chasing Purpose with host Cynthia Shea.
Encouragement sweetens labor. How many of you have heard that phrase before? It's something I would have heard my grandmother say over and over again. Encouragement sweetens labor. I didn't understand at the time what she meant, but I remember one instance when she asked me to do something, which I did, and I got a sweetie, and I'm so proud of you for it. I was maybe 7 or 8 years of age. I was so happy to receive the sweetie, but even happier that my grandma was proud of me. Validation is the desire to have someone else's approval or agreement with what you say, believe, or do. Humans are naturally social creatures. We thrive in a community and therefore have a strong desire to belong in that community and seek validation from it. The mindset over time has caused us to seek validation outside of ourselves. Yes, it feels good to hear a good job, well done. And while it feels good to get the accolades, it is important that we do not rely on others' encouragement on our journey. Let me encourage you to speak over yourself. Encourage yourself. Speak victory over yourself. Clap for your damn self. Be your own cheering squad. On last week's show, we were joined by the amazing Lysandra Rickards, who shared great insight on our topic, rest, and the importance of getting proper rest our body and minds require. Here is our purpose poll from last week's show.
When you go to sleep and you wake up and you're still tired, you know you're burned out, right? Because when you're burned out, it's not just about getting enough sleep. It's not just about that. And so you have to understand what part of my life is not being served.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chasing Purpose with Cynthia Shea Clark. You can find Lysandra's episode and all other Chasing Purpose episodes there. Welcome to Chasing Purpose, a space where we nurture faith, set intentions, pursue aspirations, all while living boldly. Chasing Purpose is a journey of self-development, self-love, healing, and spirituality. And our aim each week is to empower, inspire, and uplift you with our thought-provoking conversations. Tonight, our conversations continue with educator Jason Brown. He refers to himself as a man on a mission. Jason, welcome to Chasing Purpose.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your set.
Thank you. But the man I go out with a bag of things in on us.
Sure, you know, so we have to.
Oh my goodness. Jason, welcome, and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you too.
We were talking off camera, and guys, before we get into our conversation, please get your journals, grab your water. Cass reminded of us off camera. Please, gems will be dropped, so make sure you are prepared. Jason, encouragement sweetens labor.
Yes.
Do you agree with that quote?
I do. Yeah, I do. I do.
Tell me more.
I do. Growing up as a child, you always wanted to hear, well done, you did a great job. Not so much understanding at that age that it was needed for your development, but it does something to your psyche. It gives you a boost. And now, in a space where I am now in leadership, I understand that is integral to motivating your staff and even your children who you work with. So I do believe that encouragement, it does sweetens labor.
You are a man on a mission.
Yes.
You've coined yourself man on a mission. Tell us about that mission.
My life has been a series of lessons and challenges. And it bothered me because I did not understand why I always had to go through those challenges. So I'm like, out of all the people in the world, why gotta stop with me? Forgive me all these things. But then in growing up and honing my experiences, I understood that the reason why I had a sense of unfulfillment, it was because I wasn't operating in purpose. And so I set out on a mission, there we go again, to find out what that purpose was, and I had to embody it to feel complete.
So let me ask you this, what was that purpose? What is that purpose?
My purpose is to help. I realize that my life has been so arranged that looking at it now you laugh. I wouldn't have understood then. Even from working at JC with the boys, from operating robotics, in lecturing at UCC, and now being where I am, I've always been surrounded, even in my community, in church, being surrounded by young persons. And I've always been the one to hear their business from them in that them wanting help. So I found out in self-searching, in prayer, in trying to understand my journey, that helping youth and developing their skills, refining their experiences, navigating them on a path for them to soar is what I should be doing.
Self-searching.
Yes.
Self-searching is, it's a term I'm not sure that many people are aware of. What is self-searching for you?
It's trying to tap into what you're supposed to do. Because understand, I've done a lot of things in life. So I had my educational journey, and it was stunted early too, because I was on a journey to be an obstetrician.
Really?
Yeah, man. What do you want? Yeah. All that look into.
Yeah.
Deliver babies.
Okay,
Yeah, man.
but
All them something there.
Still in line with your youth. Yeah.
So after lower 6, I got stunted. I didn't know what I wanted to do anymore. So I had a trajectory for my life, and then it just stopped. And that was my first time trying to tap into what I'm supposed to do. And so I developed that. I had a love for IT. I pursued it. I applied for a BSc at UWI for IT. I got accepted for a BEd in IT, not going on the teaching road at all. And it was stepping into that class for the first time that I did not want to be in, that I understood that I'm supposed to be here. So soul searching, it is going beneath the outer layer to unearth the purpose, to find out what is really my purpose for being on earth.
You talk about in one of your threads I was looking, you're talking about affirming yourself.
Yes.
You speak about the importance of affirming oneself. As a male, or as males, and you can speak about your friends, and so do you find that you affirm yourself, that are you able to really look within the mirror, look within yourself and look, I am a leader, I am strong? Do you do that? I know a lot of females do. It's something that as a practice of mine. I'm not sure that's something that men do.
I had to. I developed that trait, that habit in being depressed.
So you found through depression.
Yes, I had to.
Affirming
because
yourself.
In one of my videos I said, having a village is very nice. Having friends affirm you, great. Persons to pat you on your shoulder, encourage you, lovely. But there comes a time when it's not going to be there. And the analogy I used the other day that surprised me, even as I said it, there will come a time where you're going to need help on the water. You're drowning. You're going to have to be your floaty, your lifeguard, your boat, and you're going to have to row that boat to the shore. So there comes a time when you're going to be searching for someone to be there, and nobody will be there. Are you going to drown, or are you going to lift yourself up? So I had to learn to speak to myself.
And even more, yes, absolutely. And even further to that point, remember, the disciples, everybody was in the boat. Jesus was sleeping.
Oh, you're preaching now.
Okay?
Yes.
All right? No, Jesus wasn't sleeping. Where was he? He was on the shore.
No, he was sleeping.
He was sleeping.
At the bottom of the boat.
And who was it? I don't even know who stepped out. I'm not that learned on the book. But as they're walking on the water, somebody begins to sing.
Oh, that story. He wasn't on the boat.
Right.
Yes,
see, I know.
So he sent them before.
Right.
Yes. So he was taking another journey.
And as they're walking now, they begin to sink. But he says to them, in essence, how do you not have faith in me? The reason that you begun to sink was because you didn't have the faith.
You took your eye off.
You took your eye off.
Yes.
Of me and then of yourself. Right? So that affirming of oneself, that speaking over yourself is very critical to our journey.
Yeah.
How, and you work with, or we didn't speak about this, but we spoke about this off camera. You work with children, and and the speaking over them is extremely important as you're rearing them. What are some ways that you do pour into persons?
I try to be myself.
Important.
I try to be myself. And I understand that my testimonies, my lessons, my experiences are what breaks the ground for some persons. Yeah? So it's not so much me telling you that you're great, you're awesome, you're special, you look good, you smell good, you have purpose, you can do all those things. No. But I want to take you through a journey to help you understand that you're not alone.
Yeah.
So I use my experiences, even with my kids. I went to high school. I went to university. I had challenges, whether it be socialization, sexual challenges, depression, mental challenges, finding myself, you know, pretending to be who I'm not, imposter syndrome. So I use all of those experiences to speak to them in a very real way. Because the truth is, if I don't do it, who will?
Yeah.
So if I know what this side of the world has to offer, it is my duty to prepare them for that.
You talk about the lessons that life's given you, and we're talking about validation and affirming oneself.
Yes.
You discuss being at a really critical low. Take us through that.
All right, so it started in 2018, thereabouts. I had a goal for where I wanted to be professionally. So I did my master's. In seeking to uplift and to expand my reach and even for my dreams, I sought at working elsewhere.
Okay.
So I left my government job to work in a private entity. And that job did so much to me mentally, it destroyed me. I'm telling you, it got to the point where the environment was so toxic. When I parked my vehicle, I had to list the songs, prayed for like a good 20 minutes before I got out of the car. Yeah, so I took the move to leave a job. Never have a job, you know. Left the job. You know, people say, you're qualified. More jobs will come. No job never come. So at that point in time, I have been so used to building a life for myself. I had my bills, I had my goals, I had things I'm doing. So imagine having a salary to having no salary and the jobs are not forthcoming. So when the car company says, Mr. Brown, we're going for your car loan. May I drive a nice car and can't pay it? That's how it go. So all these things that have been weighing on me, not be able to meet my rent. I couldn't afford to even go to the barber. It got that low because I would have depleted my savings trying to suffice my living and no job was forthcoming. So I began to feel as though I was neglected by God. So I felt like God never did validate me anymore. Get where I come from? So it's a case where it got so low where the depression, the suicidal thoughts, I went through all of that. Not speaking to persons, not wanting to look in the mirror, not wanting to go anywhere, just not wanting to just not be here.
Wow.
And I had to find some strength to pull myself out. I got out, got a new job. The pandemic happened. Couple months later, laid off. Back at it. And I'm like, God, come on, man. How much more can I go through? So now I'm just trying to regain my strength, my footing in life. And I was hit down again.
Wow.
So it was a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just done. I'm not apply for no more job. I'm not making no more YouTube videos. I'm not trying to encourage nobody because in all my encouraging persons are sharing their stories with me about how their lives are being transformed. And I say,
you're kind of stuck.
So what? Yeah. So you know, I had to dig again. I tried to pull myself up, encouraged myself again, and in me throwing in the towel, on that day, I just randomly went on a job portal and I applied just at random to multiple jobs. 3 months later, got a call for a job. I'm like, thank you, I'll be there. Hang up the phone. Where did this job come from? So I was searching through my emails, trying to figure out if I had applied for this job. I couldn't find anything. So I searched my job portal, I applied for the job. When I looked at the job, it was for a director position. And I said, why would you do that? Because I'm like, you are 28. You are 28. why would you? So I was, again, belittling myself and what God would have done in my life.
And not encouraging yourself.
Yes, not encouraging myself. Yeah. It's in my life lessons. So I did the interview. It went really well. I never hear from them for about a month. And I said, boy, I bite too much. Bite off too much. Then I got a call, Mr. Brown, we love you. The board wants to meet you.
Awesome.
Met with the board. And I got hired like about 2 or 3 days after.
And in that job, tell us what that job is.
That job is, so I am the director for Children's Village in Jamaica.
Okay, and
Yes.
remember, you said to us earlier, right, that what was your purpose?
To help youth.
To help youth, and you're now the what?
Helping youth.
As they do.
Director.
Okay, so that's, guys, that is encouragement. That's speaking over yourself. No matter, remember, you know, Jason said that he went through his depression. He went through all lows in his life. However, he found that mustard seed. He dipped into that mustard seed of faith and spoke, even if it was just a little bit of encouragement to say, you know what, I am going to apply for this director's position. In his mind, he didn't think that he was equipped for it. However, God saw different.
He did.
God saw different.
And when I wanted to give up on the job search, on that last day of giving up, when I counted myself out,
yeah,
God didn't.
Off camera, you shared how, you know, God is awesome. You continue to be in awe of Him
Every day.
You know, every day. And same here. I'm in awe of how He shows up and shows out. Even in the lessons, even in the trials, in the valleys that we find ourselves in, the upward mobility that He continues to push us towards, it's inspiring. All right, Jason, you work now as a director at the SOS.
Yeah. SOS Children's Village.
Children's Village. So you are walking in your purpose. I'm not going to ask if you're chasing your purpose. You're walking in your purpose. You're thriving in your purpose because from earlier on, you knew that helping youth,
Yeah.
but helping youth, to be specific, was your thing. Are you finding fulfillment in that?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I tell persons this and they don't believe me. I wake up happy every day.
Yeah.
There's not a day when I wake up and I don't want to go to work.
Yeah.
Even when I'm off from work, I want to be at work because I find it so fulfilling being there and I'm seeing where difference is being made and I'm seeing where behaviors are changing, where outlooks are being different. So I love what I do. How much longer I will be there, I can't say. But I do know for this season of my life, I am supposed to be there.
For this season.
For
this season. And it's important to talk about, as you say, seasons. We all go through seasons.
We do.
Yeah, you went through a season, a testing season. Where you're at an all-time low.
Low.
Yeah, but look at the season, your harvest season that you're in now, and you're able to affirm your children and to make sure that they have a strong understanding of self.
Yes.
And as we talk about validation, right? That strong understanding of self. It would seem that you have that strong understanding of self. Talk to us about that, and talk to us about ways how, or encourage our audience. How do we maintain a strong understanding of ourselves?
Let me start by saying, be true to yourself and your journey. Let me start by saying that. Why? I don't know if you know this, I'm a pastor's kid.
No.
I am.
Yeah.
So before I was born, before I came out of my mother's womb, persons had their mouths on me. So I grew up being so criticized for everything and being watched for everything, where I found myself being a people pleaser. So I would do things because it's expected. I will say things because they were like this. And then in traversing through my adolescent years, I found myself lost. I did not know who Jason was. So I had to get to that point where I had to try and connect with myself to see who is Jason. And the truth is, there are so many persons, maybe I'm speaking to you now, who are going through the same thing, where they are so lost, they can't, if you ask them to tell about themselves, they can't. Because they are so lost in the fray. It's like a routine. That was it for me. I was just used to being that Jason that everybody wanted to see, but Jason was unhappy.
Wow. Wow.
And I found that I did not have any I didn't like myself. I didn't like myself. I can boldly say there was a point in my life where I didn't like who I was, never liked how I look, how I talk, nothing at all, because I did not take time to appreciate and understand myself.
What was a turning point there? As a preacher's child, where you are, as we're talking about this, you are looking for the validation from others. As you know, there's such pressure. I'm assuming to be a preacher's son.
Yes.
And to uphold the standards and all that.
Even the look.
Yeah. What was a turning point after feeling like you've lost yourself?
I had to be true to my journey because I'm a Christian, yes, and I know, can say that I take my journey very seriously, and I could not be a hypocrite, and I was being a hypocrite. I did not want to look like I'm living a life, and I'm not living that life. So I literally pulled myself away to find out. It wasn't about rebelling. It wasn't about being defiant. I just had to find out who Jason was because I felt like I was lost. I didn't like the feeling. So I had to pull myself away and just do some introspection. It's the simple things. What kind of music you like? Where do you like to go? What do you like to do? And then from that, a greater understanding of self was birthed. And I started to appreciate Jason, and I started to do things to make Jason happy. And in making Jason happy, I found my trajectory for life.
And not so much make mommy and daddy or brother and sister, but what made Jason happy? What makes you happy?
What makes you happy?
What makes you happy? Because you're spot on. There are a lot of people that are lost on their journey. There's a lot of people that are broken, that really can't find their way out.
And you have many persons who are also mirroring their lives off of someone else's life. Someone else,
of a parent or of a So as it said, that just kind of that sent off. So but yes, I think the remaining authentic to yourself. It was almost like a rebirth. Getting to know what kind of music do you like, what kind of that's important. And look, even if you're not lost, there's times where I have to be like, you know what, Cynthia Shay, what are the things that you like, and how do you make sure that you don't lose yourself? Very, very, very important. Again, there's gems being dropped. I hope that you guys are penning these things down. Jason, I really do appreciate your perspective. It is a fresh one, and one that our listeners, male or female, I think can appreciate. Someone will be blessed. As a preacher's son, again, there's a lot of pressures there. There's a lot of pressures there. How do you nurture your faith?
How do I nurture my faith? I understand and accept that my faith is a daily walk.
Important.
So that means it requires a daily checkup. So I try as best as possible to, introspection is very important. I have to look in. So I have to look at my operations, my thought processes, my goals, my plans, and I have to daily, rededicate them. Because it is so important that I have to be in sync with my purpose and my faith. Because the moment I do that, I am no longer operating how I should. And I learned that the hard way. So I don't just depend on going to church. No, I do my devotions, I pray. I try to develop the spiritual man as much as I, like to look good, look bulky, have some abs, ensure that the beard is on point all the time, the head is shiny.
And it's sharp,
I have to ensure that my faith is nurtured as well. So I have to do things practically to keep it sustained.
What aspirations are you pursuing for yourself personally and professionally?
Professionally, it's impact. It is impact.
Very important.
It's
very,
impact.
very, very important.
I can't put my finger on a place, a physical place I want to be. But when I die and I leave, which I have to openly speak about because it's reality. It's reality.
Yes.
I don't want to be known for dressing good or looking good or having a good job. I want to be known for how I have impacted the lives of the persons around me.
Yeah.
So if I'm not impacting, it doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
So my professional goal is
gem.
to impact the persons I'm working with, the persons under the reach of my voice. So every speaking engagement, every radio interview, I try to leave an impact. And personally, I think right now I'm at a space in my life where I want to develop the family aspect of Jason.
Okay.
So things like getting married,
Yeah.
you know, having kids, you know. So that is where I am at right now in life.
It'll
Yes,
happen.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to
Speak it.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a new year. What are some things, or what is one thing that you have left in 2021, but something that you're going to take up in 2022?
Negative thoughts. So I have decided that this year, as much as is possible, I'm going to cultivate positive thoughts in every aspect of life. Even if I crash and the car right off, God forbid, I will just learn to just look on the positive spin of it, because I would have been protected from something or shielded from something. So I want to cultivate the habit of being positive for 2022.
Cultivate the habit for 2022. What does that look like for Jason? Cultivating. The actions of cultivating. Because it's easy for persons
to say.
And it's also quite just as easy for negativity to creep in. So what is cultivating? Let's talk to our audience. How should they cultivate? How is Jason going to cultivate that positive mindset?
All right. So for me, it starts with controlling your space. So one, I will continue to affirm myself because that works. Two, I have learned my triggers. And so now I know when to disengage and I know how to react.
That's important.
So even in hostile environments, I will know what to do, what to say. And it's important to take the time to learn about yourself so you can know these things. And also, I have to be intentional in every move, every acceptance, every speaking engagement, every placement, every conversation. I have to be so intentional that it lines up with my purpose to keep me on track. So it's not just doing things because you want me to or it will make you feel good. So in cultivating those positive attitudes and habits, I have to think about Jason. So being selfish sometimes with Jason is important.
Yeah, but
have
boundaries.
to do that.
That's boundaries. That is boundaries. And as we talk about cultivating that mindset, the intention, important.
Yes.
The protecting of the space, important.
Very important.
The knowing, I think the one thing that jumped out at me, I think is most important, especially for me, is identifying those triggers. That's a major key there. Identifying the trees and knowing when to disengage. Very, 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 all things that are very important. But again, the cultivating of the mindset, I think it is spot on. And I look forward to what Jason, because Jason's bringing an energy. Jason's bringing a whole light to the set. So I'm looking forward to all that you're going to do in 2022. I pulled up some tips on how to, seek validation within ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's what's important. The first tip is trust yourself.
Very important. Very, very important. You have to trust your intentions, your decisions, your journey. Case in point, last year around September, I had this idea to help uplift young people by having a virtual job fair called Secure the Job JA. Just giving them practical tips, how to write your resumes, how to dress for the interview, what to, let's just find details that would hinder them from getting the job. And I could tell you every single reason not to have it, a Zoom event. Every single reason not to have a Zoom event. And I had to get beyond myself and trust that. And you see the thing about trusting yourself, you have to understand that there are some things that you will win at and some things you will fail at.
And it's fine.
But that's not a reason to give up. It's not. You just reprocess and try differently. And Secure the Job JA became so big, it was picked up by GIS, by The Gleaner.
Nice,
and I had part 2 with Digicel, with Sagicor, with Talent Box Caribbean. It's now a big thing where persons were hired on that platform. So you have to learn to trust And to as much as it's possible, think about the best possible outcome. And if it don't work, try again.
Yeah, and I mean, the reality is not everything will work. And it's fine, but trust yourself. The next tip, stop comparing yourself with others.
That is the stealer of joy. Stealer of joy. It's a big track for everyone on earth. You have your lane. Stay in your lane. It's fine to look to the left, to the right, but have your blinkers on so that you can see your goal, your vision. Be happy for others, but stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
You have to build. You're building your own house.
Yeah.
You know, your house is nice.
Yeah.
As it features I love.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to replicate your house because I like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my personal touch on it. So learn to appreciate yourself and not compare yourself, but love on yourself. Love on yourself.
Love on
and
yourself.
And enjoy your journey.
I love that.
Yeah,
love
man.
on yourself. Be aware of your actions.
Yes, you have to be accountable. Have to be accountable. They find it so hard to say I was wrong.
True.
I made a mistake. I could have done something better. It's all a part of your development. And we're all aiming for self-actualization, and it's a part of the process. It's a process. So you have to learn to, you know, be accountable.
Yeah.
You can't hold somebody to a stick or to a level, and then you're not doing the same thing.
Yeah. Very important.
And you have to model best practices.
Yes, important. And the one tip that I think is, the most important, practice self-love.
Yeah. You can't give off yourself if you don't love yourself. You will always be voided.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, man. So you're going to be trying to seek for that, to fill that void. That's because you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
So how much can you give, or how can you give from a genuine place and tell persons to love, to appreciate themselves if you don't? You know?
Yeah.
It's all a part of that introspection.
Yeah.
Getting yourself together.
So in a world where we are, I don't want to say this, not governed. I'm certainly not governed, but social media is a thing.
Yes, a big thing.
This chase for the likes and the follows. How do we ensure that we're not using that validation as a crutch? We're not relying on it.
How do you feel after the likes?
What do you feel?
If you post a picture and only get 1,000 likes, how do you feel?
I mean, I don't even get one.
Are you
are
posting it because you like the picture or because you want other persons to like the picture? Intentions, the intent.
Behind
the intent. You have to do things from a place of love. If you're doing it for the likes, you will never feel satisfied. Never. And then if you're not validated by others, you'll feel as though you're not making any progress.
Right.
So you have to learn to appreciate social media for what it is. For what it is. And operate in that sphere. You can post your pictures, man. Having likes are good, but if it stunts or hinders how you feel about yourself, that's a problem.
Intention and being intentional about not getting caught up in this like. Yeah, very important. What does success look like for Jason Brown?
When I was younger, it would have been the house, the car, the fancy stuff. But success for me right now is still impact and how empowered others feel to be as or even more than what I am.
Wow.
So when I speak to my team, I tell them, listen, be greater than me. That's the reason why I am here. Yes, I'm leading you, but I want you to know you're great. So that is success for me. Empowering persons to feel and know that they can do great things and to not be limited by what life throws at you. Yes, have the house, have the car, but have some weight behind it, you know?
You, as a leader, how important is communication?
It's the most important thing. It's
in life too. It's not, whether you're a leader or not.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because that sets the precedent or the premise for things to change and get better.
Yeah.
When you're in a working environment and you can communicate effectively, things happen. When you're in a relationship and you can communicate effectively, things happen. You know, you get stronger. When you're in a friendship, there's understanding. So communication opens many doors, you know, and it clears up intentions and perceptions. You know, so communication is integral in moving forward with yourself and with others. Yeah, man, it's a big factor.
Big factor. I was reading this book, and it's called Leadership Without a Title. And the premise of it is, you don't need a title to be a leader.
You don't.
It's something that people get bogged down with, especially in the work environment, where we're wanting to be the, whatever the top title is. But I think it's important that, and even for you who are leading a team, you're leading, not just a team, you're leading youth.
Yes.
You work in an environment where females and males are looking to you, young minds are looking to you. How would you talk to them, or how would you tell them or pour into them the importance of being a leader and showing up for yourself without searching for the title or looking for the title is fine and all, but leading within yourself?
The truth is, it's just I try to model that. Even in and to be honest, this is the first interview I've done, or first thing I've done publicly where persons will know what my title is.
Oh, really?
I don't speak about it.
Okay.
I don't profess it. I don't walk around saying it because it's not really important to me.
Yeah,
I tell my staff every day, I say, listen, there's nobody as great as you.
Yes, it's true.
And the truth is, everyone has their role and their space to grow and be great. I'm never going to overshadow and take the job of the accountant. No, I trust you to do your job. I trust you. So I verify, but I trust you. And even with robotics at JC, the boys, I had an opportunity today to do a speaking engagement for robotics. And I have one of my boys doing it. Why? Because they can. I know they can. And he sent me his presentation. Amazing.
Wow.
Why? Because I give the space and I empower them to do that. That's leadership for me. When I leave, how good of a leader would you be?
Yeah.
Or how are you so impacted by my leadership?
Yeah.
So that's it for me, empowering them to be as great. Even kids on the village, I give them tasks to do.
Yeah.
Communications officer, you marshal that, you marshal your house, and how many times you spend playing Free Fire and studying. So it's the simple things, empowering persons to know that, listen, just because this is your area of the salary scale or your level on the tier of work, that does not take away from how great you are. You lead and be great in leading your area.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. It's
Yes.
it's a mindset.
It is.
It's a mindset. We're all not going to be leaders, but we can all lead
in your area.
Yes, it don't
can.
matter if you are the CEO or the security guard or whatever, however you show up for yourself in the space. No matter what it is, you show up for yourself in the space. It is very, very important. What is one thing that you wish you knew as a child?
That life is not easy. And that managing your finances take work.
True.
But that life is not what it appears to be. And that you should be open to the possibilities of life, and that things can change.
And change is good.
It's inevitable.
Change is inevitable. A lot of people shy away from change because the fear that lies with change. It's scary.
It is.
It's scary. But once we embrace it, I believe, and then have the faith that wherever the change is taking us, it is one in which God would have wanted us to be going. As we talk about fear, how do you ensure or try to instill into your children that you're leading or working with that fear is something that they can overcome?
They have to embrace it, though. They have to embrace it. So I try to make them aware of all the processes. And the truth is, even in speaking now and agreeing to do this, there is a amount of fear.
Yeah, well, hell, I got fear too.
Even before you tape, there's fear. But the truth is, it's how you manage it. Because fear will always be around to cripple your ideas and what you want to do. There will never, ever be a day when you want to do something where fear is not present, but your faith and your drive has to supersede the fear.
Yeah.
So fear is a part of life. I'm not going to tell them it's not going to come. It's going to come. And it's going to make you feel away. Trust me, man, fear will play with you, But the truth is, there is a bigger picture than the fear. Fear is doing its job to do your job in conquering fear.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where our faith, even if it's as small as a mustard seed,
that's all you need.
It plays a part, because that's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's really all you need.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yes.
Encourage someone right now that is lost, that's trying to find their way, that, you know, they just don't know what's next. They don't understand why they lost the job. They don't understand why, you know, they can't find the job. Encourage our listeners tonight.
Or firstly, understand that you are where you are for a purpose and a reason. So I know you have many questions. I had a lot of questions. I did not understand many times. But you have to trust that where you are is where you're supposed to be. Understand that you are the bearer of greatness and you have worth. So even in losing that job, in that trial, in that fear, in that downtime, there is still something you can take from that experience to turn into something great. Understand that you'll have persons around you affirming you and telling you good things, but you have to learn to develop that grit, that tenacity, to speak to yourself and to encourage yourself. There is no one as great as you. There is no one as great as you. You have purpose. Even if you feel as though you're being buried by dirt that is being thrown on you, that is your fertilizer. So even when you're in the dirt, tell yourself, I am a seed that will blossom and become a wonderful tree. Understand that in you is so much that the world is waiting to see. You may tell us that you're great, so there is no reason for you to not operate in greatness. Love yourself. Speak to yourself. You're not crazy. Own your experiences and take those experiences to make your life better, and in the same breath encourage someone else to be better. Listen, you're a star. Shine. Don't make nobody stop you. And see how the sky is big? There is space for all the stars. So shine as bright as you can and be as great as you know you want to be. Don't make them stop you. You're good.
Look here now, and that's it. That's a wrap. And we're done. Chasing Purpose. Jason Brown. Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you so much for having me.
Where can our viewers find you?
Or you can find me on Instagram. That is at the JCDB, THEJCDB, and the link in my bio will take you to everywhere you can connect with me from that link there. So follow me on IG and let's connect.
Yes. Please connect. Jason has some really great insight on all that he is doing, and just overall, you have a great light, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight's hashtag PPV, which is our purpose point of view. The question is, are you seeking validation? And if so, why?
I am not seeking validation from others, and I would encourage other persons to follow suit, because you can't live your life contingent on what people think and what people say. You will never progress and you will never shine and tap into your full potential. People can be very fickle, and on the one hand, they will support you, and at a moment's notice, they'll also be the persons to tear you down, and not necessarily in a constructive way to add value, but simply to tear you down for tearing you down's sake. And I think people will have to tap into themselves and into other resources to ensure that they're fully empowered and not live on what other people have to say, because if you do that, you're giving other people the power and ability to rule your life and to govern your decisions, and you don't have that personal autonomy anymore. So nobody seeing a validation from nobody. Do your thing and do it with passion and purpose.
Seeking validation in others will lead to disappointment. Moreover, it disempowers us. It is important to speak blessings over yourself. It is important to speak victory over yourself. It is important to encourage yourself. Thank you for joining us. I encourage you all to sow seeds others will benefit from. Wishing you love, light, and purpose.